Hey, this is Amanda at Big Duck Canvas, and today I wanted to show you how to paint with a thickened dye. We get a lot of questions about dyeing our cotton canvas, and we actually had a question on how to dye just one side. So the way to do that is to actually use a dye thickener. I get mine from Pro Chemical. It's Pro Print Paste Mix SH, and the directions are right on the bag. You use 5½ tablespoons, a cup of water. I usually do more or less depending on the consistency I want. It kind of thickens up like a rubber cement type goo, and then you put your dye in that, and you can screen print with this. You can do all kinds of stuff and get a lot more detail than you can, with the liquid dye. It's not going to run, so there's a lot you can do. And so what I like about this is that I can just mix it right here. I don't have to use the stove or heat anything up. I like to make a whole bunch at once and store it in these yogurt containers so that it's ready when I'm wanting to do a project. So it's still pretty thin. I'm just going to mix for a few minutes, and then it should turn into a little bit of a thicker paste. This is looking pretty good. And like I said, you can play with the consistency if you want it thicker or thinner. And now I'm going to add my dye. It's another Pro Chemical product. It's the MX dye for cottons. I'm just going to add a little bit. This is a small batch and I don't want it to be too dark. So I'm just going to add that in and stir it up. So now I'm going to put in the dye activator. It's really important. It gets the dye to actually bind to the cotton. And I put in about a tablespoon or so and just stir that up really well with your paste. So now we have a nice smooth dye paste. This is a really, really good consistency. I like the way this looks. So I'm going to get started. I am first going to put it on our number 12. And I like actually to use this brush, and this is different than painting with a paint on canvas, because this is actually dye. This is in the fibers, it's changing the color, and with paint it's just sitting on top of the fibers and you can actually feel the paint, whereas this, once you rinse out the dye paste, you can't feel anything. It just feels like smooth cotton. So I do this a lot. This is our number 4, and I actually really like to use that brush. It gives it a nice distressed look. You can see here the backs are still perfect and didn't get any dye on them. I'm going to do another coat just to get a little bit more depth, and I just throw in a little more dye activator just to be safe. So I'm just going to put some more on. And you can change colors. Sorry to just be using one color, kind of boring, but you can do whatever you want. This is just, a test, so have fun with it and see what you get. And if you're not exactly following the directions, it's good to kind of take notes of what you've done so that you can duplicate it if it turns out well. So everything's dry now. You can see it's interesting. The number 4 looks a little bit different than the number 12. I kind of like the way they turned out. They feel, a little crunchy because they've got that thickener still in the fibers. If you're happy with the way your colors are looking, you're going to want to heat set as much as possible to hold as much as you can. I've actually tested it. It does help a little bit. So you can use the dryer or an iron before you wash. So I'm just washing with cold water on a regular cycle, and everything turns out good. Not too much dye rinsed out, so I'm happy with that. There's some good variation in my colors, even though I just used that one color. And the back is still undyed. So great, you can actually do another color on the other side if you want, if it works for your project. So that could be cool. Thanks for checking out the video, and please let us know if you have any questions. Thank you.